over 40 years, SCM
has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education,
and live broadcasts.
SCM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings,
and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SCM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions.
And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth,
and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government come together.
Our meeting, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Simsbury Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Monday, November 18th, and we have a quorum. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from October 21st.
Make a motion to approve them as written.
I second it, unless there can be changes.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Passes the minutes. Next we have, I don't see any public audience. Public audience? Public audience? Seeing none, we will move on to communications. Haven't received communications, however, I did distribute a letter that we're intending to communicate to the Board of Finance. Unfortunately, the Board of Finance denied our request to fund additional part-time adult service hours for the remainder of the year. And the Board of Selectmen had passed that, so to be funded out of year-end savings. And we just wanted to communicate that to the Board of Finance because they were asking us to fund it with personnel savings. Unfortunately, we can't do that until other departments reach a threshold of $350,000. We haven't met that threshold, so we can't use that pot of money. So we just wanted to maybe have further discussion on whether there's a way to fund those additional hours that would directly benefit the community as the need has increased in adult services. And maybe Lisa, you can, what did I miss?
Oh, I didn't know if everyone saw the letter that came out through email. I have print copies if anyone would like one home.
I have one on my computer. Yeah, I have one on my computer.
Yeah, I saw it like 10 minutes ago.
And both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance are very concerned about the upcoming budget year, and they're trying to save as much of the year-end savings to put forth to the upcoming budget year.
Right.
And so that is, I think the driving force is to not pay additional monies out at this point in time.
So would that be between now and December or the end of our fiscal year, which is June? Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
It says the remainder of fiscal year.
It is so really for the next 6 months then, or 8 months, 7 months. The reason that we're running over on part-time adult service librarian funds is because we've been without a full-time adult service librarian, so the part-time staff has been covering, so we're not paying out overtime for the full-time staff. But we're still going to need part-time adult service librarian hours for the rest of the year because work at the information desk has picked up. So we need those hours to support staff. And also, we need 2 people on the desk on Sundays, and contractually, we'd have to pay overtime if we used full-time staff. So we need those hours for part-time staff.
So what's the ask? What is it we need to, what are we trying to go back to ask? The Board of Selectmen said yes, Board of Finance said no.
We're just making them aware that it is an immediate need, and we asked for $12,680.
So reconsideration is the ask.
Perhaps reconsideration, and I'm not sure how that would work. Perhaps a supplemental appropriation. Perhaps being allowed to use personnel savings from the library budget, because there will be personnel savings in the library budget, and that perhaps we wouldn't have to contribute to that $350,000 threshold from total departmental personnel savings at the end of the year. Yes.
So Lisa, I like this first sentence. It says it's not additional part-time.
Mm-mm.
So if it's not additional part-time, why do we need Board of Finance approval? Why can't we just transfer from, it's really just additional hours?
It's additional.
So it doesn't really meet the Board of Finance threshold of.
We need the additional funding.
Right, but if it's not additional, we're not asking the Board of Finance for additional budget dollars. We're just asking to transfer from another line item to our line item, because it's not a vacancy. It doesn't fall within the sweep back of a
But
vacancy.
we don't have the money in our budget for it, so we need money from a.
We don't have it in any other budget, line item
We
budget?
don't, we're not going, we will in personnel savings, but we can't use that personnel savings because all of the departments together need to pull together personnel savings to reach $350,000 in savings before we can touch any of our personnel savings.
This has been a change,
Yeah,
historical
that's
practice.
changed, yes.
Yeah, I know.
That's been the last few years.
Okay, so then this isn't really, I'm just trying to figure out a better way to explain it, because it's not really, it's a vacancy that we have, and that's why we have the additional hours, right?
It was.
It was a vacancy,
Yes.
which is why we use the additional hours.
So what I hear you saying is that we did contribute that personnel savings as far as wages.
Yes.
But we can't access that money.
We can't access that money, yes.
So we just wanna say that we don't wanna wait till the end of the fiscal year, we need it now, rather than waiting.
We want to pull from last year's year-end savings, which is what we requested.
Mm-hmm.
And they declined to give us the $12,680 from last year's year-end
Oh, I
savings.
see. So it's already passed.
So,
And this year, we don't know what we're gonna have because it's too early.
correct.
But we know we're gonna have, so,
But
I
we
guess my
can't
question
access
is-
that fund, we can't access those
Right,
funds.
we can plan for next year, but right now we need the part-time.
I don't think they can go
service
back
hours.
to last year. I'm just trying to think of another way to ask for the money, because last year's budget's closed. And they don't wanna reopen it. So we would have to ask for a supplemental appropriation for this year. Which
Right.
is-
Right, if they reconsider, we would need a supplemental
Yeah.
appropriation at this point.
Seems silly.
So how are other departments like Public Works and Parks and Rec handling situations like this? Does
Do they
they're
have
open-
situations like this?
Yeah, they're
Yeah, Public
open
Works has
this-
overtime from
Yeah, they're
plowing
open.
and.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they had a
I'm
similar.
sure they have vacancies also, and they have to fill in. So they
Why
must,
don't we
they
ask
must
for a
plan
meeting
staff,
rather than,
yeah.
why don't we ask for a meeting to find out how we should, before we ask, how we should ask for it, because we need it. And so they're just playing transfer budget.
That was the intent of the letter, was because I think they came back to us and said, why don't you use the personnel money? And we're saying, no, we're restricted, we can't, so that was our clarification.
It was also more of a clarification as to why we need it. I don't
Right,
think
but
they
they're-
understood exactly why we were in this position, because they just kept saying, why didn't you ask for it in the budget last year?
Why don't we just ask, I like the letter, just think we should ask for a meeting with the Board of Finance, so we could explain, so we could get some guidance as to how we should allocate, because I think we make the point, like Sue said, with, it's really just overtime hours due to vacancies that are occurring. So we know we're gonna have savings, but how do we handle the interim problem?
And by going this way, we're saving on overtime.
Yes.
So perhaps, could I just make a suggestion? Perhaps we send this and then ask for a meeting, so they have all of this background,
Yeah.
and then.
Oh, yeah, I just, instead of saying, just add a line in there that says we'd like to have a meeting with you and explain.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'll add
just-
that, we'll
just-
add that line.
And you could add it, you know,
Yeah.
maybe at the beginning. So instead of
Yeah.
saying we express concern, say we'd like a meeting to
To
guidance,
clarify or- yeah.
you know, some guidance as to how we should handle it. Because I don't, you know, they may have said no based on a misunderstanding of what we're trying to do. Which I love the letter, just, it could be better if we just could talk to them and get some guidance as to how we should allocate the money.
It's always easy to say no, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I think too, it would be nice to have some clarification as to how it's being staffed now. Like, how are those open hours being staffed? You know, because there's, I hear a lot from the public that there's a lot of people working here. How are those hours being staffed when they walk in and they see maybe two people at the, I'm just throwing this out, CERT desk, and they're just standing there talking because there's nobody there.
Depends on traffic,
so-
depends on foot traffic.
Right, so how are they
You
being
can't
staffed?
really-
I think they're more concerned about, I think there's some confusion. Board of Selectmen said do it, Board of Finance is saying don't do it because, yeah, but they may not understand. So I think, go back to just asking for the meeting, if everybody agrees, but I think it would be helpful.
Alright, so we will send that, I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the content, because I would like it to represent us as a board, as far as the communication.
And how you could represent that at our meeting tonight, we discussed it, and we would like to meet and talk to you about how to get some guidance.
Alright, thank you.
I like those words, get some guidance.
It sounds like.
Okay, guidance, seek
Very
guidance, yes. I don't have any further communications, does anyone else have any further communications? Okay, let's take a look at the Friends report, Greg.
Okay, not much is new, but I would like to encourage all of you, we're gonna have our meeting this Thursday, but in December, we do the celebration lunch for the library employees. It's gonna be on the 12th, it is a Thursday, a little bit earlier, but there were some conflicts further on. Of course, you all are invited, and I can send an update on that, but please come. It really is important to celebrate our people. It's fun. We have a good time doing it, and it's a nice thing. So that's on December 12th.
Is that at noon, Greg, or what time is it?
Yeah, it would be at noon. Yeah, well, we stretch it out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, look, not everybody can come at noon, and but it is what it is. You better be there, Lynn.
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I had, Holly.
Alright,
Sorry.
I'm looking forward to it, thank you very much. I do not have a chair's report tonight, so we can move on to the director's report.
Sure. I sent it out to all of you and it will be posted with the minutes. I just wanted to point out that we have hired a full-time adult services librarian to replace Chris Carney. And she begins in early December, Alexa Esposito. She's coming to us from Hartford Public Library. And Marta Rabiel, who was a page, has been promoted to part-time library services assistant in the borrowing department. She replaces Alexa, who moved to California. And then we upgraded our technology in the Technology Learning Center with our Peg Pisha money. So now not only can it do hands-on technology trainings, but it's also equipped to do large Zoom trainings as well. We're also using the remainder of our 2020 Peg Pisha funds to replace our regular recurring PC replacements so that our capital non-recurring funds, half of it will be Peg Pisha funds and half of it will come from the town budget. And I'm happy to answer questions if you have any.
Where are you from an overall staffing perspective?
We're nearly full staffed right now. We're short a children's librarian, but that's because we're staggering hires in the children's department because Katie was promoted, so it created a vacancy, and the children's librarian was already vacant. So we're hiring to replace Katie first, while Katie's being trained as the library services assistant. We're interviewing for Katie's replacement right now, and then we will promote the children's librarian position. And we're short 2 pages in the children's department. and a page upstairs, but that position is posted right now.
Recruiting never ends, and Lisa has really struggled the last few years with just trying to get enough qualified people to come in. All credit to her. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to get people in.
Well, and part-time, because part-time people have, their needs change, because.
Absolutely.
So again,
So all credit to Lisa.
Right, exactly.
What she has to put up with to try to make that happen.
I wanted to comment on the election early voting that happened here at the library, because even though that wasn't the library service, obviously it brought in 8,602 people into the library, and so that did impact our traffic, and I think the library did a fantastic job supporting that service for our community. And we did see the increase in library card signups, which is great. And I think it was just great for all our community residents to revisit the library if they haven't been here in a while. All right. Why don't we, are there any comments on the director's report? Questions? Right. That is a very detailed report. Let's take a look at the finance report.
Before we look at the October finance report, I was going to talk about the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget, which you'll be approving next month because it's due to the town manager and the finance head December 20th. So we have been instructed that there will be no service improvements, only contractual increases. We've also been told that due to issues with the car tax for 2026, there's a shortfall already of $1.3 million.
Is that the town shortfall?
Yes, so you can expect the budget to be fairly lean.
Have you been asked to, as a response?
We have not been asked to propose cuts yet. And all three of the contracts in the building for the collective bargaining units are up for negotiation next year. So
for 25-26 or 26-27?
25-26. Any questions about that?
How do you negotiate? Does the town negotiate that, or does the library board have a role? How do you do that?
The town negotiates the contracts, and last time I sat on the negotiating management side.
Great.
If there are no questions, we can move on to the October finance report.
Greg, we have someone coming in.
So if you look to the second grouped item of figures, the library adult and young adult, the second line down is the part-time adult service librarian. You'll see that it's at 37% here, but this is October. As of today, it was at 47%. So we're about, again, this is almost 50% expended. And then on the back side, you're gonna notice in the children's section, our contractual services, they are over budget on their contractual services. That money is used to pay performers, and what we do is, the department heads do, they spend down their town funds first, and then they move on to spend their friends' funds.
So does that include both the town funds and the friends funds, or just the town?
That's the town funds,
That's
and
okay.
now Stephanie will move on to spend her friends' funds for programs. Okay. And I think we've already talked about this before, but in the last section for buildings and grounds, you'll see that $11,000 is over. That's for HVAC systems that we've had to repair. And I should also let you know that the touchpad for the FSPL program room audiovisual system needs to be either repaired or replaced. and I let the finance department know about this and the town manager know about it as well. We need to decide now if we want to repair it or replace it. It makes much more sense at this juncture to replace it, even though it's more expensive, because the warranty expired 3 years ago, and at some point we're not going to be able to get parts for it. And since town departments and the town manager's office use that for meetings, and SCTV uses the audiovisual system for taping, we want it to be functioning properly. So I'll be working with them to get a supplemental appropriation to pay for it because we didn't budget for it.
Replacing it is the right way to go. If you run into trouble, then you can come back to us, but just trying to fix old stuff that's not warranted anymore, it doesn't make any sense.
No, I appreciate that.
And
But
new
it's,
stuff is so much better. I mean, just gotta get new.
it's part of town infrastructure, so
Yeah,
the
I
town
know,
should
but
really
still,
pay for it.
Yeah.
Still, if you get in a hassle and all of a sudden the functions aren't working, well, then
It is working temporarily with a remote, it's just not ideal.
be like ideal.
Well, I mean, you need it to work
Well, come on,
seamlessly
Tom.
when you're having a town meeting in there, so.
Yes, exactly. Well, any meeting, really, yeah.
Okay, we'll keep our eye on that. Anything else?
No, I don't believe so. The strategic plan review was at the end of the director's report, and I made sure you all had copies of the strategic plan. It's on the website, so you can find it there, but I thought, since we're reviewing it, you could have new printed copies, and Lori, if you'd like one, there's one on the table for you.
Okay, thank you.
So I've listed out the goals in the grid. And then I reviewed it the same way I did last year, looking at the director's report, since we break the director's reports down monthly by the goals and how the goals are supported by the departments in the library. I just reviewed it the same way, so we're comparing apples to apples. And I think we did a much more even support of the goals this year, bringing support of goal 4 up to 22.4% from 12%. While support of goal number 2 came down, I mean, in order to even it out, something had to come down.
So your percentages represent, I know in your director's report, you always include the programming and the materials and the displays that support each goal. So that's what you're comparing.
Yes.
It's just access.
Yes. And when we review the strategic plan every year, we look at all of the goals to see if we feel any of them need to be tweaked, or if we think they still represent where the library is going in the next 2 years, because the goal is already 3 years along.
Just for our public and for our visitor online, I'm going to read the 4 goals.
Yes, that's fine.
And just to review the strategic plan, goal number 1 says Simsbury Library is the center of an inclusive community that values and welcomes people of all abilities, cultures, and lived experiences. And actually, since we're aboard, would anybody like to read goal number 2?
I can read it.
Thanks, Holly.
Goal 2, the library is a safe place for exploration that offers free and equal access to digital and physical resources. Next.
And would you like to read goal number 3?
Sure, I'll read goal number 3. Goal number 3, through in-person and virtual engagement with information and people, the library inspires people to learn about themselves, their community, and the world.
And goal number 4, Mary, you want to take that one?
Yes. Goal 4, Simsbury Library supports a thriving economy with information, tools, and connections to promote businesses, nonprofits, and careers.
Excellent. And I know that we've seen the increase in the business and career outreach with the promotion of Sin Thomas, right, as our business career coordinator. Right, and this strategic plan is in effect until 2026. I think we're on target. I think all our goals are still relevant and enhancing our library and our community. Any other feedback on strategic plan or goals?
I just think it's also a nice one idea the way Lisa reports to us of how all those activities
Yes.
meet the goals. I think that's what we're focused on.
Yeah, no, I think that it is clear that the library is driven by the strategic plan and the mission. All right. Let's talk about the Innovators Workshop supply charges.
Sure. So we have been struggling for years to try to figure out how to make certain we could afford supplies in the Innovators Workshop. And we finally figured out that we can charge patrons for the supplies and have those funds go into the 211 Library Board discretionary fund, and then purchase supplies out of that discretionary fund if it meets with your approval. It meets with the finance director's approval. So.
How do you determine what to charge, I guess?
That's something we're still working out. I wanted to discuss it with you first to see if it met with your approval before we spent time trying to figure out how much to charge.
I think that's a reasonable solution, to pay for materials that are being used by the patrons themselves.
For their own
personal use.
Yes. Right. And it meets with our policy that that you approved years ago, that if patrons take away tangible goods from programs, that we're able to charge for them.
We have an average cost. I guess you handle it one of two ways. If there's like an average cost of supplies, maybe we just charge the same amount for every program, or if there's a big difference in the programs.
Well, this wouldn't be for programming, it would be for supplies that they use.
No, I know, but I'm saying so you'd have to charge maybe per program, depending on how much the supplies cost. Is that what you're thinking, or just have a?
It's more by use.
It's more by what project they're doing on their own in the workshop.
Oh.
So if they're printing something on the 3D printer, it's how much filament they're using.
Okay. So it's not for like a program.
This is different than a program.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sure, and if they're doing something on the Cricut, it's how much vinyl are they using.
Got it, okay.
And then
Well, that should be easy to calculate then.
The biggest thing is that we'd like to start charging for printing banners for people on the poster printer.
That makes sense.
Because we think there's a demand for that.
I'm sure people would be happy to pay. It's just convenient to come here rather than go somewhere else. For sure.
I'm assuming, is it a fee that would just cover costs, or is it like just a nominal fee, or is that again part of figuring out the whole fee structure?
I think we're just looking at a fee to cover costs. I don't think we're looking to make money.
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion to do it, please. No.
Wait a minute, don't leave that wide open.
I think the motion is to allow the library to charge for supplies and use the
211 Library Board discretionary fund.
Discretionary fund to be able to purchase new stuff.
Yes.
I'd second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, thank you. Susan abstains, motion carries.
Will you circle back with us, I guess, on that?
Yes, I'll have to come
Yeah.
back with you for the charges. Yep, which I'm hoping will be December, but I can't promise that.
Who's helping you determine that?
The charges? The library staff? We'll be looking at what other libraries
As a group,
charge.
like, you guys will kind of figure that out together?
Well, the staff member in charge of the Innovators Workshop will probably take lead on that, but she'll have other librarians help her.
So the Innovative Workshop is under like redesign, how is that? Are all the machines accessible now, or?
They are accessible, but we're starting to look at training.
Okay.
It's gonna make a lot more sense when the new full-time librarian comes on board, because we'll have one more body to train people.
Right.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to expanding head of children's services position.
Sure. As you probably are aware, or maybe not, the town did a classification compensation study earlier this year. And what it did was look at all of the job descriptions across the organization and all of the departments across the organization and the staffing hierarchies within the town. And one of the things that came out of that study was that a library of our size should have a deputy director. And I think a long time ago it did, correct?
No.
Never?
Never.
Okay, well anyway, one of the things that came out of the study was that we should have a deputy director. And I think one of the things that we learned earlier this year when I had COVID and all of the things were happening politically with, I guess, Moms for Liberty is what was happening at the time. And we were needing to message people and do social media posts, and I was down with COVID, that we definitely need someone else who can step in my stead should I not be able to do things such as that. So what we have been working on is expanding the head of children's services position so that it's an expanded position, that it would be head of children's services / deputy director. It wouldn't change the reporting structure of the library, so personnel would still be handled by me, but the head of children's services could step in and handle messaging for the community, social media posts. They would also be able to handle some administrative tasks that would take some things off my plate. For instance, drafting policies, which would certainly help for sure. I just wanted to make you aware of that. It's something that we'll be working on coming up in the budget process for next year. The budget impact for next year is $1,400, so it's not an exorbitant amount of money. And again, it would be a reclassification. It's not a new position. It's an expansion of duties. It doesn't change staffing. It doesn't change benefits. It doesn't change retirement. And other libraries in the state handle it this way as well, so.
Could you share the job description, the current one and the new one when it's ready? So
The new job description is ready, I can share it.
Yeah, and with the old one, so that we can see what
Sure.
the changes are, that'd be great.
Yeah.
You just have to go to personal subcommittee?
Yes.
Just let us know when that's gonna happen too, in case anybody needs to go.
I'm not sure it's going until the budget process starts.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Does anyone have any questions about that?
I think it's good. I think it's really.
Yeah, no, I think we've seen the 24/7, news cycle and demands on staffing, and any kind of backup is really important. It's really good.
It's also a means of succession planning.
Yeah, true. Okay. So last meeting we brought up holiday displays, and I think our task was all to go out and kind of think on it and see if we were going to change any of our practices with holiday displays.
Did we get
Did we get anything back from the town manager?
The town does not have a policy on holiday displays per se. The only place it's brought up is in the town posting policy, for bulletin boards, where religious and political posts can't be made.
They didn't give us any guidance at all, that's
It
weird.
specifically says that the only policy was Hall and Town Hall that did not allow these religious postings or political
Do you have
postings.
a copy of the decision? I'd like to see it.
and what was the?
Town Hall.
and Town
Yeah,
Hall.
and Town Hall, but no other public buildings are
Can we just follow the
impacted.
town hall policy?
But that's only for bulletin board postings, it's not for actual displays. Has a Christmas tree that they display. Actually, I think they have two.
So I think we asked what constitutes definition of religious display? Because a Christmas tree's not,
No, it's secular.
not a,
Christmas trees are secular.
right, so we were talking about a menorah. Is that a religious display or is it secular?
It's religious.
It is? And we got that decision. They told us.
No, they didn't tell us that.
They were
But
saying
that's-
that this
it's-
does not impact us.
It also, that technically does not impact us, but we could fall back to it. But it's also not displays by nature of what we would consider displays. That's a bulletin board policy.
So
Going to the research you did, did we find out what kind of menorah it was?
I don't know, I've never seen it here in the town hall, that actually, I thought of that after I sent that
Well,
out to
I've
you guys.
seen it in the,
You mean,
You know, like,
our menorah?
Yeah, the one
It's
we-
the Hanukkah, it's a Hanukkah menorah. And
Yeah,
it has
but
9
that's-
candles.
It is 9,
Yeah.
that was my question,
No, it's
because
9 candles.
I've seen that, since I've learned about this, I was
Mhm.
like, I've seen things like on Amazon, I see the 7 and I see the 9, I'm like,
No,
oh,
it's
interesting,
9.
the things I never, you know, to me, never noticed it.
I looked at it this morning.
Thank you.
I'm inclined to see the library as even different from a town hall as far as being a cultural and educational center where we can, represent multiple cultural practices, religious practices or not, not endorsing one or the other as far as an institution. But by inviting people to learn about these symbols or expressions, I think that we are serving the community and our desire to be inclusive and welcoming and inspiring people to explore other
and
cultures.
we mentioned cultures as one of the goals.
You know, and even in reading, your director's report for the children says the department's created displays for Indigenous people, Diwali, and I thought that was more of a Christmas timeline, December one, and Rosh Hashanah, so that sort of falls in line with like a religious or cultural education in that regard.
Mary?
And I'm not attached to it either way, I just wanna make sure we're clear about the choices we're making.
Right.
Of a change
Mary?
going forward.
I think there's two questions. Is the menorah religious display? But I Googled, a quick Google survey says it's not.
I
So-
spoke to several people and they actually said a menorah is a cultural
Right.
expression,
if we
not entirely
we make
religious.
that first decision that it's not religious, then I don't see an issue with that.
Okay.
Secondly, I think that if we're gonna display, we have to just be careful if we're gonna display, how we display religious displays. I mean, if you want to display, religions across the world, that's one thing if you have promoting one religious display. So as long as we have a consensus, I think that is okay. Because we are a different, we're educational, we're not a town
Right.
hall, we're not promoting. But I think we have to be careful that our staff understands the difference between, a non-religious display, which is a tree, Christmas tree, a menorah, versus celebrating cultures around the world. So
We
it's
could
not-
also
I'm
put the
comfortable with
menorah up with an explanation of what it stands for as an educational piece.
Yeah, I think that's up
where-
to you, but I think that
that's-
we're certainly don't need to remove it.
That would be good because we said last month, we're not gonna have the giving tree this year, we're gonna have
Correct.
a different setup. Many people think that the tree implies certain things, so
Right.
an explanation of why the menorah is there makes a lot of sense, it really does.
And it's a perfect opportunity to do that.
For education, absolutely.
It's a perfect.
Absolutely.
Any other comments?
Do we need to respond to the person who wrote to us in October in specific, or with his communication that we got last month? Is there a need to respond to that, or is it was brought to, I don't know how we handle communication in that regard.
Yeah.
Something was brought up, we're discussing it as a board, making decisions, policies.
I'm happy to make a response that we've had discussion, we've had input from town manager, we've had input from other concerned citizens.
And we're not promoting any religious.
I think that's the important.
And it's not
I think
political
that's-
either, this is not political, it's really.
And I think that's the important
educational.
distinction, I think that's an important
And
distinction.
wasn't it also the other seminar?
Yeah.
Is
And
that
it
what
was a
was on?
different menorah.
It was, yes.
Not the one that we're displaying.
Correct,
Right.
and I think that's an important distinction. Yeah, thank you for that information. What you were trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think that we really want this library to be welcoming and represent as many different members of our community as we can. So the policy committee met. Do we have an update?
I have an update.
Thank you,
So we met on Monday, October 28th. It was myself, Lisa, Mary Ann, and Polly. We are creating a plan to review all the policies that currently exist. Little and bad. Yes, we'll create a policy. And then once we've taken on that task, also create any new ones where there's a need, right? So Lisa has the daunting task right now to kind of identify, she's gonna categorize the current policies as to what's kind of our quick wins, right? So what are the ones that pretty much just need format, there's a standard format that they now need to be in, none of them are in that. So which ones need to be updated from a format perspective, and maybe just a quick read, a couple words here and there, but the content itself doesn't need substance change, right? So we'll tackle those, and then we'll tackle the larger, heavier ones in piecemeal. We won't be connecting again though until January, so I don't expect another update until the February meeting.
Okay, I think that's a good start.
Okay.
Thank you for taking that on.
Yeah. Ambitious.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we have the proposed 2025 meeting dates. We've already approved Monday, January 6th. That's an irregular date due to holidays, so, and as well as Monday, February 3rd.
Monday, February 3rd isn't already approved.
Right, it's not approved, but it's not the third Monday that we usually meet on. It looks like all of the other ones are the third Mondays of the month until January.
Do we need a motion to accept these dates, or is it just these as the dates? I'm not sure.
That's up to you. You can wait till December to approve them, or you can do it tonight. It's up to you.
I don't have an issue, I don't know.
I
like
can't
anticipate.
You know, all the first one in January is already approved. Other than February, everything else is, as it always is, the third Monday. That's just because of the holidays, so that's the only one that if we didn't have a quorum, we might have to change.
Is anybody ready to make a motion to approve it?
How about, since we do have a quorum, and why push whatever might happen in December, and we do need to have them approved, I make a motion that we accept the proposed dates for the 2025 calendar.
Thank you, Tally.
Second motion.
With a lot of rush.
All right, thank you.
Let's get it done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We have our 2025 meeting dates approved. All right. There is no need for executive session today. And so I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Tally. It is, what time is it? 7:42. Any second? Mary Ann? Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.